Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is in approximately 1 in 5 women, and it makes you want to break up with your partner approximately 1 to 2 weeks before your period every single month. So as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I dedicated my doctorate practice to helping partners navigate those monthly PMDD breakups with everything from attachment styles, triggers, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch, all of the things that you really struggle with when you're in PMDD. And I also dedicated my dissertation to a phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I'm not just here to help the sufferer, the one who is suffering with PMDD. I am here for the partners as well. So if you need those private sessions, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get those tools. So let's get into this week's PMDD trauma transformational tools that is going to help you stop the monthly breakups and stop the suffering and stress in your PMDD relationship. Let's get into it. Today, we are going to be talking about one of the main symptoms that you have in PMDD that is causing you to want to break up with your PMDD partner. So I am Dr. Rose Alkattan, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. And today we're talking all about fear. We're talking about those ruminating thoughts that we have in our mind. We're talking about all of those fears that we have that, this is not the right partner for us. Maybe we should be with someone else. Maybe our relationship shouldn't be this hard. Maybe my partner is not the right one for me. Maybe it would be better off if I was single. I remember so many times having these thoughts and it causing me to want to break up with my PMDD partner month after month. And so I want to give you the tools today on what you can do when you go into PMDD and you're experiencing that overwhelming fear. The first thing I want to let you know is you are not alone. If you're in that place of every single time you go into PMDD, you're in that realm of just overthinking so much that you're fearing that you're in the wrong relationship, that you're fearing that you're not going to be able to do this for one more month because it's so overwhelming, right? It's so overwhelming and it's so stressful and you're having so much fear. And the first thing I want you to really recognize is fear impacts not just, how you're feeling and your emotions, but it really impacts your body. So we're going to go over how fear impacts your body, how fear impacts your mind, and then we're going to go into how it really impacts your PMDD relationships and make you feel like you want to break up. So the first thing is we're going to go into the psychology of it, right? Your nervous system. When you are experiencing fear, just think back to what that feels like, right? I know for me, it was always the racing heart rate. And I don't want to say it used to be. I still experience fear when I go into PMDD. I still have these irrational thoughts where I think worst case scenarios, a lot of catastrophizing, where I'm just thinking the worst of my PMDD partner. I'm thinking the worst of the relationship. I'm questioning everything that I'm doing. I'm questioning whether I'm making the right decisions. And it's causing an activation of the sympathetic nervous system. So what this means is my stress hormones are activated. And I actually got into adrenal fatigue, right? It's when you've been in a heightened state for so long in that fight or flight where your nervous system is activated for long periods of time, you can get into that realm of adrenal fatigue. And so this psychological response prepares the body for fight or flight. It thinks that there's something about to happen. So your body is responding to that. Your heart rate is racing, your blood pressure is going up, and your breathing is heavy. And a lot of times we don't recognize that this is going on, right? I remember when it used to happen for me, or when I've even seen it happen on private sessions with my clients, they don't recognize that their body is actually responding to the fear that is going on in your mind. It is literally a mind-body connection. Whatever is going on in your mind, that fear is speaking to your body and it's telling you to get out of there. Have you ever wanted to break up with your PMDD partner and it's almost like you feel like you're trapped and you just need to get out? You literally feel like you want to run away, right? You feel like you want to walk away, run away, get in the car. Maybe you've driven away sometimes because your body is saying you're in danger. You need to get out of here. You may be having a heated argument or just some kind of discussion with your partner and they say something that triggers you, and then all of a sudden you feel your body heat up, right? For me, my body gets hot when I feel myself get triggered in that realm of fear. My body gets really, really hot, and my hands start shaking. So means that you could be getting into the realm of a panic attack, and I've had these so many times before in PMDD because my mind is overreactive. I'm panicking over what I think is about to happen. And sometimes a lot of the things that you're thinking is going to happen is based off of a prior fight that you've had with your PMDD partner. It's based off of some past traumatic event that you've had with them. Maybe you had a bad PMDD fight, a bad PMDD argument that made you feel horrible, and you find yourself in this place of trying to avoid it. So you're in this place, you're trying to avoid it so much that it's so scary that it could potentially happen to you. So your partner is talking to you and they're trying to discuss something, or maybe you're yelling back and forth. And in your mind, you're thinking it's going to be like that past traumatic event before. We have all been in PMDD and had the big PMDD fights, right? If you listen to my podcast, In Love with PMDD, on there, I talk, and on here, because I'm recording it on In Love with PMDD TV, but that I talk about one of the worst PMDD fights that I had with my partner was when I kicked him out of the car. Like, we were driving and he was saying all of these things that were triggering me. And this was earlier in my journey before I even had the tools. So this is why I'm sharing this with you, because I was in that place of not understanding what was going on in my body. And he didn't know what was going on. This is why it was so traumatic for us, because he was so shocked by my response, because I was just literally taking it, right? So when you are in the realm of getting into that realm of fear, you're almost feeling the need to protect yourself, right? You may be in that place where you're needing to fight, right? You want to fight back because you feel like you're being attacked. And I definitely felt like that. And the words that my ex-PMDD partner were saying were so triggering. And I think because I wasn't responding. Have you ever been in that place where your partner is doing something to trigger you and you're just trying to take it? So you're taking it and you're taking it and you're taking it, and you're not communicating to them that you're being triggered. And you're just feeling like, maybe if I just, let them get it all out, it'll be over. And I went too far. I was quiet for too long. So I don't want you to make this mistake. I didn't communicate it to my PMDD partner how much he was triggering me until I went off on PMDD rage, because I got into that realm of fight. I felt like I needed to attack him back. And so imagine me going from completely calm, completely rational, but like in my mind spinning around, to completely lashing out and saying, get out of the car. And I remember stopping the car and saying, get out. And he looked at me like I was literally crazy. And I felt literally crazy in that moment. I was shaking. I literally felt like, you know what? I can't deal with this. I need you to really remove yourself from the situation, because you're so triggering for me right now. Just you being in my presence is really causing me to be even more triggered. So I really got into that realm of the fight or flight. And so the next way that fear shows up in your body when you know that you're being triggered by your PMDD partner is this muscle tension. So fear can literally cause your muscles to tense up. This is part of the body's preparation for fight. It thinks something is about to happen, so your body starts to tense up. I know for me, I get a lot of stiffness and soreness, and I used to go to get a lot of massages, and I didn't understand that when I was getting the massage, they would say, oh, you're so tight, or you're so tense, or all of these things. And it was really a situation where I was receiving so much fear within my body for long periods of time that I got really stiff, I got really sore. And what happens over a long period of time is you start to get fatigued. Your body literally feels so heavy. You feel so worn down because you've been in that state of fear for so long. Your body is not made to be in fight or flight response for long periods of time. A little bit of fight or flight is fine. If you're in danger and you're about to cross the street and you see a car coming and you have to jump back, that's fine, because the body can regulate itself immediately. But what happens is when we're in PMDD, we're experiencing those triggers and that fear for 2 weeks, 10 to 14 days, however long. And some of you, it's longer than 14 days. So the body is not made to be in that state of chronic stress, chronic fear, chronic, just tension, because it's balled up, it's tight. You need to release that. So this is when your body is going to start to ache. And a lot of times, when I have private clients and they're saying that they're going through all of these things and my body is tight, I feel sore, and they're not understanding the correlation to the fearful thoughts that they're having about their PMDD partner, the fearful thoughts that they're having about, their relationship. It's really impacting their body. So the next way that is showing up is the digestive system. So if you're having problems with nausea, changes in your appetite, irritable bowel syndrome, all of these, the acid reflux, sometimes you're going to the doctor for a lot of things that you're thinking has to do with maybe just a regular PMDD symptom, or maybe you just think that, oh, I have something other than, PMDD going on with me. No, it's actually because you're in that state of fear. You're actually in that state of fear. And so your body is so locked up, it can't even digest the food that you're giving to yourself. So, when you're in PMDD and you have all of these cravings, and so you may be ingesting a lot of food, well, if your body is so clammed up and so tight because you're so fearful about what's going on in your relationship, you're so stressed out about it, you can't release any of that food that's going, it doesn't go through you. So it stays stuck. So this is when you can get the acid reflux. And so I want you to really understand, how this is all connected. And the next way that this fear that you're experiencing about your PMDD relationship and your partner can impact your body is your immune system. I've seen this so many times when private clients get really sick. It's because sometimes it's even after we've done intensive sessions where we've gotten off of the session and I see that they're experiencing a lot of fear. There's this initial fear when you start to work with me. Maybe this won't work. Maybe this will just be one of those things that we do, like, especially if you come to me after going to other people and they're not really understanding the tools that are related to specifically to PMDD relationships, you may start to lose hope and you may start to feel like I'm putting all my eggs in this basket, Dr. Rose, and I don't really know if this is going to work, but I know that we're at a point in our relationship where we need to do something. So there's this reluctance and this fear. And so when you're coming on the sessions, it's almost like I need to see this external validation that it's working. I need to see that it's working. I need to see that it's working, because you fear that you're going to lose your relationship. So that fear that you're having that you're going to lose your PMDD relationship, it's locked up in your body. And so you can begin to get sick. And you're like, I don't understand what's going on. Or I've had clients that are like, oh, I think I really need to cancel my session today because I'm not feeling well. And I recognize the correlation. Your body is weakened. Your immune system is weakened because you're in that level of fear. And so I'll have a conversation with them and I really just get to the root of the fear, like what's really going on with you. And when we get to the root of the fear, you're letting some of that go. Just think that you're letting that tension go. All of this tightness, you're letting your body flow as it should. But when you're in a state of fear, your body cannot operate the way that it is supposed to, especially if you're in PMDD and you're experiencing a lot of other, symptoms. PMDD has so many symptoms. And when we're fearing, we're stopping ourselves from being able to even manage and navigate a lot of those symptoms. So the next way that fear can really impact your body is the cognitive function, right? So it's more about the mind, but it's your body. Your brain is not able to think clearly when you're in a state of fear. This is where the irrational thoughts come to your mind. Like this is when you start thinking things that really are irrational, meaning your partner is going to the store. I always use this example because I've heard it so many times. Your PMDD partner is going to the grocery store. You're not seeing eye to eye. You've been arguing. You've been fighting. And all of a sudden they're going to the grocery store and you immediately feel fear because you feel like they're going to cheat on you. You feel rejected because they're leaving you. You feel like we're not in a good place and maybe they'll go out and they'll find someone that's better than me. Maybe they'll go out and they'll cheat on me. Maybe they'll go out and, our PMDD relationship is so stressful. It's not fun right now. It's not fun. So maybe they'll go, they're looking at their phone and maybe they're seeing a text from someone and you see them smile. And then all of a sudden you're like, of course they're cheating on me. Of course they're enjoying the company of somebody else because our relationship sucks right now. We're going through it. And so now I'm fearing that they're going to seek that companionship with someone else that doesn't have PMDD, with someone else that's not constantly fighting with them, with someone else that is not going through this roller coaster ride of emotions every single month. So that fear is causing your brain to create stories. So now when your partner is trying to do normal things, you're distorting what they're doing because you're creating a story in your mind about what you think that they're doing. And that fear that you have, that irrational story that you're telling yourself in your mind, it it feels real. So I'm not here to tell you, oh, just think positive, just don't think about that and all of those things. I know it feels real because your mind is actually using factual things that have happened in your relationship, factual things that your partner has said, and it's tying it to your fear. So say if your partner cheated before, you're going to be like, well, they are a cheater. Or even if they didn't even cheat in your relationship, you're going to be like, I know that they have the capacity to cheat because I remember that they told me they cheated before. So of course they're going to cheat on me. Or, maybe it's a situation where they're not giving you intimacy and they're shutting down, and you're fearing that you're never going to be in that place in your relationship where you're close. And you're going to say, well, a lot of couples go through, periods of time where it was, hot and heavy and passionate and connected in the beginning. And then all of a sudden, they're not doing that anymore. So maybe that's just where we're going to end up. We haven't had sex in 2 weeks, so maybe we're just not going to have sex. So now you have this fear of the lack of intimacy. The fear really starts to mess with your cognitive brain when you start to feel like you're about to lack something. So you feel trapped. I remember feeling like that so often. I felt trapped in my relationships because I felt like however the relationship was right then, it was always going to be that way. And my worst fear is lack of autonomy, lack of freedom. I'm an Enneagram 7, I'm a Sagittarius, and I fear someone putting me in a box and me living a life of suffering. That's part of the reason why I was suffering so hard with PMDD in the beginning, is because I was like, oh my goodness, okay, so there's no cure for this. Like, I can't do this. I can't do this. It's like you're ruminating in your mind because you're like, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. So that fear that you're going to be stuck in a situation in your relationship that you're not satisfied with, and that that your partner is not satisfied with, it's causing you to distort every single thing that they're doing. And this means that you're having these irrational thoughts, these exaggerated thoughts. It's like, yeah, my partner did go to the store and maybe they didn't answer my call immediately, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're cheating on you. But because you're tying it, remember, you're creating a narrative, you're creating a story. So it's very irrational. And sometimes the partner thinks, oh, I can just talk to them, I can tell them the truth, and then all of a sudden we'll be fine. Fear doesn't operate like that. It's almost like it doesn't matter what you say to your PMDD partner when they're in their realm of fear and irrational thoughts. They're so convinced of what it is that they're fearing that they're just going to fight you to convince you that the fear is actually real. But I really want you to break this down. What fear really stands for, and this is when I want you to like call fear out for what it is. False evidence appearing real. That is the acronym. False evidence appearing real. It's false. It involves evidence. It's appearing as if it is real. Therefore, there are real thoughts, real emotions, real feelings, and real reactions if you let yourself go down that rabbit hole of listening to the fear and then leaning into it, right? So what I want you to do is really recognize when you're in that state of thinking of black and white things, like it's all or nothing, like worst case scenario. Either I've had it where private clients have come on sessions and be like, either this session works or we're done. It's just all or nothing. Either one session works and we're done. Either they do what I need them to do or we're done. Either they give me intimacy or we're done. Either they stop shutting down on me or we're done. Either they stop going off on me on PMDD or we're done. This is this all or nothing thinking and this fear. And I want you to know that both partners in the relationship, I call you PMDD partners, the one that's suffering with PMDD and the partner that doesn't have PMDD. You are both PMDD partners and you can both have this level of fear, specifically if you've been going through a lot of relationship trauma and past issues and it's going on again and again and again. So we have to remember PMDD is cyclic. So all of this fear is happening again and again and again. So remember how we talked about keeping our brain and our body in that state of fight or flight for long periods of time. It wasn't meant to be that way. And that's why it seems so overwhelming. So the next way that fear can attack your mind, and this has happened for me so many times, is the rumination. What I mean by that, it is repetitive, intrusive thoughts. So we all know that we have intrusive thoughts when we go into PMDD, but this is repetitive, intrusive thoughts. Like you're thinking worst case scenario again and again and again and again. And so for me, a lot of those intrusive thoughts had to do with, hurtful words. when my PMDD partner would say hurtful words to me, they would stick to me. I had a fear that I was always going to be in this kind of relationship where I was going to be talked to like a piece of crap. And I knew that it caused me so much suffering. I knew that it caused me so much pain. So I would literally take the thoughts or the hurtful words that my PMDD partner said to me, and they would be ruminating in my mind again and again and again. And so I would start to create scenarios, and I would start to say, this is what's going to happen if we go on this trip. They're going to talk to me this way. And so it exasperated my feelings of anxiety, and I had this fear response. And what that means is I was responding to my PMDD partner as if he had said the hurtful words before he said the hurtful words. Have you ever done that where you've gone into a conversation, you've gone on date night, you've gone into the car to do something with your partner, and you're anticipating that they're going to do something to trigger you? You're already filled with fear, and your partner can feel that fear. And it's like now they have fear, they have anxiety, right? Your partner has anxiety because they don't know what's coming. They can feel that the energy is off, and maybe they even ask you about it. And you're like, I'm fine. I'm totally fine, when you're not, but you're just trying to rush past it. And you're feeling this rush of anxiety, and you're just waiting for something. You're waiting. So that's when we go into the next wait, which is this hyper vigilance. You are waiting for your PMDD partner to do something to trigger you. So you have a lot of hyper vigilance within your fear. So when you're in that state, you're in this heightened level of alertness and arousal. My ex-PMDD partner used to go through that all the time, where I could literally touch his shoulder and he would just jump and be like, what's going on? Or I would say, hey, I want to talk to you about something. And it would be like, why are you trying to fight with me? Why are you trying to fight with me? Here we go again. We're about to get in a fight. And it's this hyper vigilance. It's like, wait a minute. I was just going to have a normal conversation, but it's almost this fear of having any sort of communication, because you're fearing that it's going to end up like it did before. So you can start to avoid communication because you're fearing that you're going to talk about something that's going to really trigger you. And so you get into that realm of paranoia, where you're really paranoid about the next thing that your PMDD partner is going to say. You're really paranoid about the next thing that your partner is going to do, because you feel like it's going to put you in that state of being triggered. And so the next way that PMDD fear can really attack you is that negative self-talk. This is what you can do internally because you're experiencing a lot of self-critical thoughts. You're being really, really hard on yourself, right? You're being so hard on yourself because of everything that's happened in PMDD, specifically when you've said something to your PMDD partner that you immediately regretted afterwards. And now you have this fear that you're going to lose your relationship. This is the most common one. You've said something to your PMDD partner that's below the belt. You've listened back to what you said, like in your mind, you're like, I can't believe I just said that. And now you're living in this state of fear, and it's diminishing your self-esteem, because you're thinking to yourself, what kind of person would say that to their partner? I can't believe I said that. You may see the hurt look on your PMDD partner's face, and you immediately have regret. And then you're immediately feeling like they're going to leave me. Oh my God, like they're not going to stay with me. There's no way that they're going to continue to put up with this, because I am literally treating them less than what they deserve. This is you talking to yourself. You have this little voice that's telling you they don't deserve to be in a relationship with someone like you. You don't deserve to be with them. They're being so patient with you. They're being so understanding, and look at you. You're just going in on them. You're attacking them verbally. You're being verbally abusive to them, and they're just taking it. And maybe they've forgiven you a couple of times, but they're not going to keep forgiving you. At some point, they're going to leave you. This is what the fear is telling you. So then you get scared, because rationally, it makes sense. It's like, yeah, they probably are going to leave me. Oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my relationship. Then I'm going to have to move out. Then I'm going to separate the kids. Then we're going to, have to separate the animals. And then I'm going to have to live on my own. And I don't know if I can support myself on my own financially. And you're going down this rabbit hole of what you're fearing is going to happen based off of a thought that's going on in your mind. So even if your partner has said to you, I forgive you for the hurtful words that you said, I forgive you for that, you're still operating in a state of fear, because that voice is telling you, don't believe them. They're just saying that. At the end of the day, they're really going to leave you. They're going to get tired of this, because if they dealt with it this month, what about if you do the same thing next month in PMDD? Are they going to be dealing with that? They don't deserve to deal with that. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time until they leave you. This is a fear talking to you. And it starts to freak you out, honestly, because you're like, I know. You're almost talking back to it in agreement. Like fear will bring out something it'll be in agreement to what you already think. You already feel bad about yourself. So fear is just like telling you confirmation. Yeah, you should feel bad about yourself. Look at what you said to them. Look at what you did. Like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And then you're laying down in that state of fear, and the voices are just talking to you. The fear is just pounding you, and it's almost like you can't escape it. The thing about fear is it's like it's in your mind. You cannot escape it. And so cognitively, you'll try to consciously or subconsciously. And what I mean by that is the next way that it attacks your mind is the avoidance behavior. So my ex-PMDD partner did this a lot, very often. When he experienced fear, he started to avoid me, avoid having conversations with me, avoid me in PMDD. Look at the calendar. I'm not coming for a visit during that time. You know what I mean? Because we were long distance. So he was like, oh, well, let me see when you're going to be in PMDD. Okay, well, I'm not going to be seeing you during that time, because he was fearing what would happen, fearing an argument, fearing that something dangerous was going to happen. Like almost, and a lot of times partners can do this, and you can do this because you want to preserve your relationship. So you're fearing putting yourself in a situation to where things can really blow up. So I get where the fear is coming from. It's almost a protective measure. Like, I'm going to avoid you because if I avoid you, I avoid the next fight, and then maybe we could stay together. Then maybe we could save the relationship, if only for one more month, right? You may say, if only for one more month, we can get to this place of avoiding an argument. And you may feel like it's a win, like, woohoo, we went through a month of PMDD and we didn't fight. So like, good. Yeah. But the reason why you didn't fight is because we're going to get into the relationship aspect of this. When you have fear, there's a communication breakdown because of this avoidance. When you start fearing that conversation and interaction that you have with your partner is going to trigger PMDD symptoms, that means I don't want to talk to my PMDD partner because I'm fearing that they're going to go off on me in PMDD rage. Or if you're the partner that has PMDD, I don't want to talk to my partner because I'm fearing that they're going to trigger me. So the fear of walking on eggshells, and I heard this, I literally could put it in my dissertation that I wrote, right? Because every single interview that I did for my dissertation that got published on PMDD partners, hundreds of partners all said the same thing. Feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. What does that mean? You're walking in fear within your relationship. The fear of saying or doing something wrong, it's going to break down that communication, because you're going to end up not communicating, which is going to lead to misunderstandings. Because if you're not communicating with your PMDD partner, it leaves this space open for them to interpret what you're thinking and what you're saying. So they're interpreting the stories that they're telling themselves in their mind as the truth, because you're not telling them any different. They have no proof that the stories in their mind aren't true, because you're not communicating outside of that. So there's a lot of tension in your relationship. So the next way that fear can really impact your relationship with your PMDD partner is you start avoiding conflict. So you have this fear of exasperating the PMDD symptoms. You have this fear of having these difficult conversations because you feel like, oh, well, maybe if we just brush it over, then maybe it won't bother us. Maybe if I don't talk about the triggers, then maybe it won't bother us. The triggers don't go anywhere. The conflict is inevitable, and there can be healthy forms of conflict. So I want to let you know, when you go into these private sessions with me, the goal is not for us to have, a session where we're just talking about all the great things in your relationship. When you're in that realm of fearing talking about the hard things, we never get to the hard things. So I always tell you, as my private client, this is a safe place to talk about the hard things. I, as your counselor, am not here to commend you on how amazing your PMDD relationship is. I'm here to help you talk about the difficult things that you've been covering up that is causing you to internally suffer and you have fear with. You have fear within you. Your partner has fear within them because of things that you haven't talked about. Fear comes from keeping things covered up. You fear what you don't know. So as long as you have all of these issues under the blanket and you're not talking about them and you don't really know what's going on with your PMDD partner, there's a lot of fear there. It's the fear of the unknown. But when we have our private sessions, it uncovers the truth. And then I give you the tools for what your actual issue is. But if I don't ever hear what the source of the conflict is, what the source of the fear is, then it's going to be really hard for me to help you. So I just want you to get in that mindset that when you become my private client, and if you are my private client, avoiding conflict is not the goal. We are unveiling what is really producing the conflict that you're having one-on-one with your partner. And I'm giving you the safe place to really talk about it. And a lot of that happens with hearing what your partner is really thinking. That is the beauty and the transformation that happens in a lot of my private sessions is you are hearing the heart of what is really going on with your PMDD partner, because fear causes a lot of emotional distance. You don't really know what's going on with your partner when they're in that state of fear. There's no emotional closeness. There's no intimacy there. Like, this is why you may be noticing that you're not feeling as connected to your PMDD partner. Because if you have this fear of rejection or fear of having these negative reactions, you know, you or your partner may withdraw emotionally. So you may be in the relationship with your partner, but feel lonely. You may be in the relationship, but you feel disconnected. So I want to let you know that addressing the issues that you have, addressing the triggers that you have can disarm that fear. So the way that we get rid of the fear is we face it. Like, we face the fear so that it can go away. If we cover the fear up, it's just going to build up and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what's going to lead to that resentment and the frustration. So PMDD partners may begin to feel resentment and frustration stemming from the fear of walking on eggshells. Like, I remember my ex-PMDD partner hated that. That was one of the things that he hated about PMDD. Every single month, I feel like I have to walk on eggshells. I guess I'm just supposed to sit in a corner and just color, you know, like a little kid. I have to sit at the kiddie table. I can't say what I want to say. I'm constantly tiptoeing around you. I'm tiptoeing around the triggers. I'm anticipating mood swings. It's exhausting. It's straining emotionally for your partner because it creates this level of dissatisfaction in the relationship. They're not happy anymore because everything that they're doing, they're not being their authentic self. So they begin to resent you. They begin to resent PMDD because they're feeling like, this is my life. And it's very, you know, it's very, 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 I don't know, it's very daunting. Like, you really get trapped in it. And so let me give you the tools. Basically, when you have fear in your relationship, you get to this point of really, you lose hope because you feel like, this is it for me. You feel like this is it. And it's a scary thing to think that you're going to be living your life in suffering, or that you have to be single in order to have any type of peace, because peace is the antithesis. Peace is the opposite of having the fear. I hear partners say that all the time. I just want peace. I just want peace. You want peace because your body and mind has been in a state of fear and it doesn't like it, and it's fatigued, and you have burnout. And so the first tool is I use the PMDD pivot mode, right? So the PMDD pivot mode is something that I use when clients are really having a lot of fear and it's leading towards PMDD rage. So this is going to help you. The first thing is, I want you to pause, right? When you're in that state of fear, I want you to pause, and we're going to go through some mantras. And the mantra, I love using mantras. If you're my private client, you know that I give you mantras every single time we're on a session, because it's something that you can tell yourself. You need to talk back to your fear, or it is going to continue to talk to you. I'm going to repeat that. You need to talk back to your fear, or it is going to continue to talk to you, and you are not going to like it. So the mantra for fear is, I refuse to let fear control my life anymore. I refuse to let fear control my life anymore. You have to literally tell fear, I'm not going to let you control me anymore. I'm not going to let you sit here and tell me stories in the mind. You have to almost talk to it as if it's an outside entity, right? You have to talk to fear as if it's something outside of you, like it is an outside entity, because what you fear is going to begin to happen in your life. If you keep thinking about it, believing it, you're going to start to believe it, like the stories that you're telling yourself in the mind. So what you speak, you give power to. Words have power. So you need to speak the opposite of what your PMDD fearful thoughts are telling you. If it's telling you that your partner is cheating on you, my PMDD partner is not cheating on my PMDD partner is not cheating on me. My PMDD partner loves me. My PMDD partner is not cheating on me. My PMDD partner loves me. When you use the mantras, when you use this tool, I want you to know you need to say it at least 3 times, 3 to 5 times. Repetition is key. Repetition is key. You have to say it again and again and again, because you have, remember, it's ruminating in your mind again and again and again. So you have to counter that. You have to literally fight back to the fear with positive, authentic things, not fake things. We're not saying fake. We're not doing, false positivity. Like if your PMDD partner is you're not thinking positively about them, you can't find anything positive about them, then I want you to take the time to really go back in your memory, because we have to talk back to fear with things that are actually authentic, because our subconscious mind is very smart. If you try to tell it some things that are not really true, it's not going to believe it. It's really genuinely not going to believe it. So the other thing I want you to know about fear is it's a toxic chemical in your body, and it produces stress and it raises your cortisol levels. So it's doing something to you. The whole time that you're thinking these things, it can cause you to act out and break up with your PMDD partner. So this is why we have to talk back to it, because one of the most daunting things that can happen with fear, and unfortunately I've seen this too, is it can cause you to have suicidal ideations, because you're fearing what you're fearing in your mind is actually going to happen. You become so fearful, so overwhelmed. And I know this is a trigger warning for all of you. So please be mindful of that. But think back to in the past, if you're the partner that has PMDD, or if you're the partner that hasn't had PMDD, because I've seen it on both sides. In my dissertation, if you've not read it, suicidal ideations is one of the common things of being in a relationship with a PMDD partner, because you're fearing the next month, you're fearing what could happen to you. And so this is why I want you to know, if you do not manage this, then it can lead you to do things that are outside of your control. You can allow it to spiral. And that's why I'm giving you these tools. Fear is literally a tool that PMDD uses to really control your mind. And so as soon as you feel the fear begin to creep up on you, as soon as you fear it you start to fear it in your mind, as soon as you get to that point, I want you to begin to talk back to it. And I want you to say this mantra: I will not allow PMDD fear to control my life. I will not allow PMDD fear to control my life. I am safe. I am loved. My PMDD partner loves me. This is the mantra. This is what you're doing. You're talking back to it. You're training your PMDD brain. And if you're the partner that doesn't have PMDD, you're calming down your brain. Because when you're in that state of constant stress, your brain is overacting. And so we want to get to that place where we're calming it down. So this is the second mantra: I will not allow PMDD fear to control my life. I will not allow PMDD fear to control my relationship. I will not allow PMDD fear to control my partner. I am safe. I am loved. I am cared for. I am adored. These are things that even when you're listening to me say them, you may instinctively calm down. Your brain just needs to know that you're safe again, and then the fear can go away. Faith is the opposite of fear. You need to have something that you're believing in with your PMDD partner. Believe the best about your PMDD partner. Fear makes you look at the worst about your PMDD partner, say their flaws, say all the negative things about them. Remember the negative things that they've said to you. Remember the negative things that they've done to you. But you need to change your belief about your PMDD partner. There's one of my favorite books, is probably on the bookshelf behind me, is As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. As a man thinketh, so he is. Whatever you're thinking in your mind, you become. Whatever you're fearing in your mind will show up in your life. You can call it the law of attraction. You can call it manifestation. You can call it whatever it is that you want to believe in, but it is actually a principle. What you focus on, you will find. If you are focusing on the fear, you're going to be more fearful. If you're speaking the fear consistently, you're going to feel more scared. You're going to feel more fear if you're speaking about the fear. So what is the tool? Speak the opposite of the fear so that you can calm down. Speak the opposite of the fear until you believe it. Speak what you seek until you see what you said. I love that. Speak what you seek, which is the peace in your relationship, until you see the peace in your relationship based off of what you said. But it all starts with this tool of speaking to it. So speak, if you're taking notes, speak what you seek until you see what you said. And what we are speaking are thoughts of faith about your PMDD partner. It is your belief system, what you believe, the core of who you believe your PMDD partner is. A lot of times you're feeling like your PMDD partner is attacking you and they're doing this maliciously to hurt you because your image of them is distorted. Your faith in them is gone. Your belief in them is horrible. You believe that they're going to hurt you. You believe that there's something to fear about them. You believe that they're going to cause you to have more stress and trauma and overwhelm and all of these things in PMDD. This is where you get into this avoidance state because you're like, I know that they're going to say something to trigger me. I know that they're going to do something to trigger me. Let that fear go by speaking to it and remembering the positive things that your PMDD partner has done for you in the past. You have to literally remind yourself of it because when you're in that state of fear, your tunnel vision is on the negative. You're not remembering all the positive things that your PMDD partner has done. I hear this in private sessions all the time where they're like, Dr. Rose, I do so many amazing things. But when your partner's in that space of fear, all they remember is the negative things that you've done. And so they're fearing you. They're fearing being with you. So remember, fear is the opposite of faith. We need to shift your belief system about your PMDD partner and about your relationship. And if that's something that you need help with, go to my website, inlovewithpmdd.com, book those private sessions where we can really cognitively get that fear out. You have to dig it up. You have to get to the root of the fear because everything that you're doing, if you're operating from a level of fear, it's going to impact everything that you're doing in your PMDD relationship. The entire time that you're in PMDD, and also when you get out of PMDD, you can still be having these fearful thoughts. So this is why it's so important to get to the root of this and really manage this. Having these fearful thoughts in PMDD, you may have them every single month. I do want to let you know that. They may not go anywhere. I still have them sometimes, but it is our responsibility to manage it. What do I always tell you? PMDD is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to manage. And that's why I'm here to give you these tools. So until next time, we got this. I hope this PMDD episode helped you and your partner in your struggles within your relationship. And if this is something that you know that you need help with and you need further support, individualized support, make sure you're going to inlovewithpmdd.com and you're getting those private sessions to really work through what you're going through in your relationship, specifically in regards to PMDD. And also, I want you to leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. What this does is it helps other PMDD sufferers and partners find this show that can help them get these free PMDD relationship tools. I remember what it felt like to not know that there were tools out there specifically for PMDD relationships. So I want to make sure that you are sharing these tools with others, share them on your social media, share them with people that you know that are also struggling in their PMDD relationships. Until next episode, this is Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. One more thing, I almost forgot. I now have the Fresh Start PMDD Partners Workbook. What this workbook can do is if you've had past traumatic experiences with your partner, past fights, past arguments, and they keep coming up every single month in PMDD, I created a Fresh Start Workbook so that you can deal with all of the traumatic experiences that have happened in the past in PMDD rage and all of these things so you can stop going through the same cycle again and again and again. So get that workbook. It comes with a video episode of the actual podcast that I recorded on getting a fresh start in your PMDD relationship. So you're not continuing the same cycle again and again and again. So make sure that you get that workbook. And if you need those individualized counseling sessions, you know where to go, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you.